Welcome to Microchip's briefing. The content of the briefing includes: the OpenAI SOAP shows the need for Europe-based AI alternatives. 7 attractive dividend-paying stocks that are capitalizing on AI. China tried using economic ties to bring Taiwan closer. It isn't working. Dutch giant ASML warns against labor curbs after far-right win. Microsoft's chip move and Disney's India dilemma. The OpenAI SOAP shows the need for Europe-based AI alternatives. Financial Times. French billionaire Xavier Niel has launched QTI, a nonprofit research lab focused on developing large language models in the style of OpenAI. Niel's aim is to create an open platform, making research accessible for commercial purposes, with transparency extending to the source code of the models. The project, which has backing from billionaire Rodolphe Sada and former Google chief Eric Schmidt, will help Europe to influence and profit from generative AI, with Niel saying, "I don't want our children to depend on algorithms that are not made here." 7 attractive dividend-paying stocks that are capitalizing on AI. The Globe and Mail. Investors looking to capitalize on the growth of artificial intelligence, AI, should consider investing in companies that are already applying AI profitably, according to TSI Network. The firm used its TSI Dividend Sustainability Rating System to identify 7 US and Canadian companies that have solid business bases and are already capitalizing on AI. The companies include Microsoft, Nvidia, Intel, and Accenture. China tried using economic ties to bring Taiwan closer. It isn't working. Wall Street Journal. Taiwanese businesses are reducing their reliance on China and are increasingly pivoting towards the US and other markets. China had hoped to win control of Taiwan by convincing its people their economic futures were inextricably tied to China. However, the US replaced mainland China as the top buyer of Taiwanese agricultural products for the first time last year, a sign of the shift. Taiwanese exports to the US in the first 10 months of 2023 were more than 80% higher than in the same period of 2018, Taiwanese government data shows. Taiwanese exports to the mainland were 1% lower. Taiwan's outbound investment has also shifted, moving to Southeast Asia, India, and the US. Trump-era tariffs and Biden administration export controls have raised the cost of sourcing from China, and in some cases prohibited it. China has also banned Taiwanese agricultural products and restricted outbound tourism to Taiwan, pushing Taiwanese businesses to look elsewhere. The US and Taiwan reached an agreement in May on a number of trade and investment measures to deepen ties. Dutch giant ASML warns against labor curbs after far-right win. Bloomberg. ASML has called for a reliable government following the victory of far-right politician Geert Wilders in the Netherlands' recent elections. The company has said a consistent long-term policy is necessary to create a stable business environment for the tech industry. Wilders' Freedom Party has sought a referendum on the Netherlands' participation in the EU. Businesses such as ASML and Royal Philips, both of which rely heavily on recruiting overseas talent, could be impacted by changes to fiscal policy, including limitations on the 30% ruling for expatriate workers. Microsoft's chip move and Disney's India dilemma. Nikkei Asia. Microsoft is developing its own AI semiconductors to boost the performance of generative AI and reduce costs. The cloud and software giant has created 2 types of chips, Maya, which runs generative AI in data centers, and Cobalt, which will be used in cloud-based software services. The mass production of the new chips will be outsourced to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's largest contract chip maker. The Cobalt chip is based on architecture from SoftBank-owned ARM and will be incorporated into Microsoft's Azure Cloud Services from 2024. The move is bad news for Intel, which has been trying to increase its own footprint in the contract chip-making segment, but faces a tough battle to win customers and catch up with Asian rivals such as TSMC. By using chips customized for generative AI, Microsoft aims to speed up data processing and reduce procurement and operational costs. The AI chip sector is currently dominated by Nvidia, which holds about an 80% share of the market. Other tech giants such as Google, Amazon, and Apple have also developed their own chips. Stock market today, Asian shares are mixed, with markets in Japan and US closed for holidays. Associated Press. Asian shares were mixed on Thursday, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng gaining 0.5% to 17,818.25 and the Shanghai Composite Index rising 0.6% to 3,061.86. Markets in Japan and the US were closed for holidays. The Hang Seng and other markets in Greater China have recently been affected by Chinese regulators' moves to support the ailing property market. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Six bringing you the latest news from the 6 dimensions. Let's dive right in. First up, we have French billionaire Xavier Niel launching Kyotai, a nonprofit research lab focused on developing large language models. Niel aims to create an open platform that will allow for research accessibility and transparency. It's all about making sure our children don't have to rely on algorithms that aren't made in Europe. Who knows, maybe they'll even invent a language model that can understand French sarcasm. Next, we have some investment advice for those looking to capitalize on AI. TSI Network suggests investing in companies that are already applying AI profitably. They've identified 7 US and Canadian companies, including Microsoft and Nvidia, that have solid business bases and are making the most of AI. So, if you want to make some AI-powered dividends, you know where to put your money. Moving on, it seems China's attempt to bring Taiwan closer through economic ties isn't working out so well. Taiwanese businesses are reducing their reliance on China and looking towards the US and other markets instead. In fact, the US became Taiwan's top buyer of agricultural products last year, and Taiwanese exports to the US have increased significantly. Looks like China's plan backfired, and now Taiwan is spreading its wings and exploring new opportunities. It's like a breakup where one party ends up thriving while the other is left wondering what went wrong. In the Netherlands, Dutch tech giant ASML is warning against labor curbs following the victory of far-right politician Geert Wilders. ASML, along with other tech companies, relies heavily on recruiting overseas talent, so any changes to fiscal policy could impact their operations. They're calling for a reliable government that can provide a stable business environment. I guess they don't want any wild cards in the deck when it comes to their workforce. In the world of semiconductors, Microsoft is making its move. The tech giant is developing its own AI chips to boost performance and reduce costs. They've created 2 types of chips, Maya and Cobalt, with mass production outsourced to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This is bad news for Intel, who's been trying to make a name for themselves in the contract chip-making segment. Looks like Microsoft is trying to carve out its own slice of the AI chip market, which is currently dominated by Nvidia. It's like a game of high-stakes poker, with each player trying to outsmart the other. And finally, in the world of finance, Asian shares are mixed. Hong Kong's Hang Seng is up, thanks to Chinese regulators' attempts to support the property market. Meanwhile, markets in Japan and the US are closed for holidays. It's like a roller coaster ride, with some markets soaring while others take a breather. That's all the news for today, folks. Before I go, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these developments? Do you have any burning questions? Let's start a discussion. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.